We are in the land of kangaroos and koalas, endless white beaches, the typical red soil, and of course, the fantastic underwater world. No country is as diverse as Australia. My name is Benjamin Jaworskyj, and this is #Jaworskyj around the world! I want to take you on an adventure. The adventure on the hunt for the one photo. For that I travel to the end of the world. I fight my way through the ice of Antarctica or the heat of Sahara. I'm looking for interesting people, wild animals, and capture them on the chip of my camera. For eternity. In this episode, I literally travel around the world. 15,000 kilometers away from Berlin, on the other side of the world is Australia. A continent so far away from everything else that animals evolved you can find nowhere else in the world. I'm traveling from Berlin to Frankfurt, Abu Dhabi, Melbourne and Adelaide to Kangaroo Island. The third biggest island of Australia is located in the state of South Australia. It's 145 kilometers long and has a relatively soft climate. It owes its name to the English discoverer Matthew Flinders, who named it Kangaroo Island after he anchored there in 1802. I have never seen a kangaroo in the wild before, so I'm very excited to take photos of them. But as well I'm looking forward for the koalas and impressive landscapes. On my way to the accommodation I noticed strange things on the side of the road. I imagined that things would be different on the other side of the world, but why are the Australians putting their trash on poles? This is the post office of Devon Bay. Completely crazy, isn't it? In Germany, they deliver the mail into your postbox at home, but on Kangaroo Island, they deliver the mail here. The postman comes twice a week and puts the mail into these, let's call them, postboxes. Also, the name is very far-fetched if you look close at them. But it's so cool to find something like that on a crossroad in the middle of the bush. Here, for example, is a microwave thing, or that thing here is a laundry drum, and you can find garbage cans as well, so if you get mail from the police or something, you can just leave it inside, you will throw it away anyway. There is a toolbox thing, and over here are refrigerators, and this one right here looks exactly like the fridge from Indiana Jones, you know, the fourth movie where he survived inside the fridge, the big explosion thing. So whenever you're in an emergency like this, just go here in the Devon Bay post office inside the fridge and you will survive. So the sun is pretty high. I try to take some great photos anyway, and whenever you're on Kangaroo Island, come and visit the post office. The next morning we are heading to the Flinders Ranges National Park. It's a very green spot in the western part of the island that welcomes me with great light and spectacular cliffs at sunrise. With memories of Scotland, I meet my guide Rosemary, and together we drive to the remarkable rocks, one of the most known landmarks of Australia. It's a special rock formation right next to a huge cliff. A strong wind is blowing and the waves are pounding down from below. The wind and weather shaped the stones over the years. Absolutely remarkable. If you get here very early in the morning, you have the rocks all for yourself and you have the best chance to take great photos. But pay attention to the heavy wind. I usually take photos from a lower angle, so right now I'm sitting on the ground and it's also very windy and slippery, so it's safer for me to just sit around and take some long exposure shots from this perspective. The clouds are pretty cool today, and also those remarkable, nice-shaped rocks in the foreground are pretty great for a long exposure, and I think it will look awesome in black and white with the clouds moving in the background. But as well, the orange color in combination with the blue sky is a great contrast, so I will take some color shots as well. And to do a long exposure during daylight, you need a very strong ND filter, and I have my own Forex by #Jaworskyj ND filter. It's a 10-stop ND filter. It's called Super Strong, and with that filter I can expose now for 30 seconds on f/18 with ISO 100. And it's not the easiest thing to get the right exposure with the sun actually, because it's coming more and it's coming less and the clouds are coming again, so I'm changing my exposure from 25 seconds to 30 seconds to 40 seconds, always depending on how much light I actually have. But that is the interesting thing about landscape photography, about longer exposure photography. You always have to do everything manually and to react on everything that is actually happening. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to another position, get a nice low angle but a different point of view, and let's see what I can get there. The special thing about these rocks is that they don't just look cool because they are so rugged, but also because they have this kind of alloying, this orange and black. And many people would think that the black stuff is soot from a fire, but it's actually a microorganism that lives on the stone and which add to the ablating and forming of the rocks. Over many years, of course. The stone itself is also remarkable because it's granite, so it's very hard. Not like sandstone or something, but really solid and concrete. And still nature managed to form, change and ablate it. Deeper in the bush of the island, I'm searching for the koala. Ironically, you can find it on the list of endangered animal species. And still there are too many of them here on the island. After some koalas had been returned to the wild, they liked it so much that they bred extremely well. And they don't have any natural enemies here on the island, which is a real problem for the eucalyptus tree they are feeding on. Bad for the trees, good for me. Just after a few steps through the bush, I see the first furball sitting in the tree. One of the absolute highlights of Australia is of course the koala. One is sitting up there, and over here is another smaller one. Koalas sleep most of the day for up to 20 hours. They just lie around or sit in trees where they are protected from their enemies, even if they have hardly any here on Kangaroo Island. The females are being sterilized every year to get a grip on the overpopulation. Furthermore, new eucalyptus trees are being planted to protect the old population. Incidentally, if you translate koala from the language of the Aborigines, it means something like the animal that doesn't drink. The koala barely has to drink. It gets nearly all the water it needs from the eucalyptus leaves it eats all day. They only have to drink when it's really hot. And he sits up there. I tried to take some photos of him, but I have to be very careful because there are ants everywhere on the ground, and these are not some little ants, but very nasty ones. But because the koala isn't far away, I can take my time shooting him. Oh, that looks cool. And koalas are a very good motive because they just don't move. From time to time he climbs a bit up or a bit down, but mostly he's just still and watches me or opens one eye or something, but most of the time he just sleeps. I think I would do the same if I had a fur as thick as him when it's as hot as it's right now. Even if we call him koala bear sometimes, he's actually not a bear but a marsupial. So it's actually related to the kangaroo. And this one right here is very cool. Can you see him up there? He's in full chill mode. We probably just woke him up and now he thinks, man, can't sleep a day without an idiot coming by and waking me up. Koala bears are very chilled animals, but don't underestimate them. They have very long claws and they know how to use them. They are wild animals after all, and you should always treat wild animals with respect. but I think he wouldn't come down anyway. If you get up early in the morning, you're allowed to eat lunch early too. The Marin Cafe is located in the middle of the bush. You can get a cup of coffee here, but it's actually known for its crayfish breeding. The crayfish bred here are much bigger than the ones you can find in Germany, and they are said to taste awesome. The owner John explains how the marins, that's what they call crayfish here, are bred. They grow up in big ponds outside the cafe and are collected in these basins just before consumption. They might look like lobsters, but they are actually freshwater animals. I'm excited how they're going to taste and won't look at them too much because they will be on my plate later. Not bad, isn't it? I'm just wondering who's supposed to eat all of this. Oh, that's delicious. It's so soft. I've never eaten crayfish before, but it tastes delicious. You have those claw things here, and with that thing you can crack actually the claws from the marin. So you just crack it, and then you take that stick here and go inside the claw and get everything out, nice soft meat. And it's a bit of work, it's a bit of mess, you're very dirty afterwards, but that's what I like about eating. Do everything with your hands and have all those different things here, put everything together on the plate, and then, yeah, just have a nice meal.
Now, if I have visitors come to stay with me, after dinner they just can't wait to get in the car, to go out and tour around at night and have a look at what we can see. And we always find kangaroos.
If you think of Australia, you think of kangaroos. I was told that there are different species of kangaroos. Many different types, but Australians mainly differentiate two types. The big kangaroos, which are really called kangaroos, and these one here. These are called wallabies, and you can see them everywhere, especially in the evening. When it's too hot at daytime, around 35 degrees Celsius, they hide in the bush. And they also run around the hotel complex here, where we're currently staying. The great thing is that they are used to humans and come very close because of that, so if I pretend I have something to eat in my hand, most of them come to me or look at least and think, what an idiot. But I was able to capture some cool photos of them with my 35mm lens, very, very close. And they're beautiful, although I think they look a bit like rabbits. And their long tail is their much needed balance, because their hind legs are so long and their arms are so short, they balance with their tail but also support themselves with it. If they want to move forward slowly, they use their tail to form a kind of tripod and then use their hands and push themselves up again, and then they jump in the air. So it's very interesting how they are moving, and there are a lot of them coming right now if I get a lower position. And if you are quiet and don't make any sudden movements and are relaxed yourself, the animals are relaxed too. My journey goes on, and this time to Adelaide. From there I drive to Flinders Ranges, a mountain range in the north of the state of South Australia. The further I drive north, the hotter it gets, and the landscape gets drier too. On the side of the road I spot an emu family, the Australian national bird, which can grow up to 2 meters and isn't able to fly, but can run very fast, up to 50 kilometers per hour. But now they don't want to run, and I can easily take some photos before we are heading to the Ransley Park station and darkness sets in. If you want to take photos of the Milky Way, you need clear weather. No cities nearby, which means total darkness, and, in the best case, new moon. But it's enough if the moon just isn't there. And we are currently filming, so just for the record, almost in the outback of Australia, here in South Australia, near Flinders Ranges, and we have perfect conditions. It was hot all day. Today we had 35 degrees, and last week they even had 40 degrees. At night it's very chill, around 20 degrees, and because of that we don't have any clouds. The next city is over 30 kilometers away, and the moon is still there at the moment, but it's a decreasing moon and it will be gone soon. So I think in maybe about half an hour the moon will be gone completely, so perfect conditions to shoot the Milky Way. Here in the southern part of the world, south of the equator, you get an awesome view of the Milky Way. I've never seen a sky like that before. It looks incredible. You can already see the Milky Way, although the moon is still up and it shines from over there. And maybe you can see some of the stars in the background in the video. It could be possible because of the high ISO from the A7S. I can see the dust band of the Milky Way with my bare eyes. I already took 2 or 3 photos right here, and this street, because it's at night you can't see it that well, but the street is red. It's the typical red Australian soil, and it's exactly in the middle. The Milky Way is right next to it. It leads vertically up. Perfect composition. It looks awesome. Let me just check the camera. I take a look at the picture. You can see all those structures, and what I'm going to do now, I try to find some dead trees on the side of the road, but you have to be careful because there might be some dangerous animals around. At daytime it's not that dangerous, but at night they are active and there might be some poisonous things around, so I take my torch and then I'll see if I find some dead trees or something else next to the road. And if you have a remote release like I have now, you can stand there, and if you can stand still for about 15 to 25 seconds, depending on how long you expose, you can be on the photo yourself. And it looks crazy because the narrow moon is over there. It's enough for you to cast a shadow, as if the sun was shining, so you get a very surreal look. If I use my flashlight, you can see it's extremely bright, like laser sword or something, and I use it to shine in the sky, and I think that will look cool in the picture as well. I take some more photos, and every time I take a look at the display of the camera, I'm overwhelmed by this incredible sky. If you look at this giant formation with all its stars, you suddenly feel very small. After a little sleep, I'm up early again and drive together with Tony to Wilpena Pound to catch the glow of the mountain. You can see it only for a few minutes each day when the sun illuminates these giant rocks. Sunrises in South Australia, you can experience an awesome play of colors. The colors change the whole day. We're here at Flinders Range, the mountain range 5 hours away from Adelaide, and it's very dry and very hot. Yesterday we had about 35 degrees and last week 40. It's summer right now, although it's winter in Germany actually, so the seasons are reversed. The riverbeds are dried out, which gives the nature and the landscape that special something. We have very red soil that glows so bright when the sun shines on it. In the early morning, when the sun is just above the mountaintops of the other side, you have a nice play of colors. Now everything is red, but at midday everything seems even redder, and in the evening it's slightly pink, and at night, as you just have seen, everything looks grey and boring. So if you drive through this area at night, you might think everything is just stone, but when you see the daylight, you can see all this red soil, which is very nutritious, although it's so dry. You can see there are growing trees and plants everywhere, and when it's raining, everything sprouts. I always look for a foreground, so I chose in that situation a dead tree lying on the ground as kind of a symbol for that area here. Because of the heat wave, a lot of plants, trees and animals sadly died, but that's what nature is about. The problem is the sun coming from behind, and I cast a long shadow in my own frame, so I want the mountain in the background but the dead tree in the foreground. I need to change my angle a bit more sideways, so I have everything in frame but not my own shadow. The good thing of shooting in the morning is that it's much more comfortable because it's not that hot. It's maybe 20 degrees Celsius. You can see I wear a sweater myself, and you can see some animals jumping around, some kangaroos or some birds flying around. So it's quite busy in the morning. You have the nice light, so it's always worth getting up early in South Australia. As soon as the sun rises higher, it's better to explore the national park by jeep, driving and with air condition. Everybody looks for a cool and shady spot, if necessary, under a tree. We drive through the different tracks of the park, and it's amazing to see how many animals despite the barren vegetation. Emus, many kangaroos, which are very big. Huge eagles circle over the valley. Tony tells me about an old tree on the other side of the nearly dried out river. And that way we get at least a little shower. In the middle of nowhere grows this old grass tree. They are only to found in Australia and grow only a few centimeters per year. Considering this tree is nearly 2.5 meters high, it's easily about 200 years old. That's only possible because he has some special features so that he can even survive bushfires. Fun fact, they often have a black trunk because of the soot from the bushfires. I pass more dry riverbeds, and it's hard to imagine that they only carry water for just a few days in the year. I'm still amazed by the red earth, and it's a great contrast to the blue sky. On my way I find the web of a golden orb spider, a huge but rather harmless spider that owes its name to its golden shimmering cobweb. Without the legs it can grow up to 6 centimeters, and the cobweb stretches across the whole street. But because of the heat, it's not so much fun to take photos anymore. I decide to head back to the station. In the evening I'm meeting with Michael, who works as a pilot, and offered to take me up into the air. The sun is low and the little plane is ready for takeoff on the sandy runway.
The side we're going to be flying on is going to be the sunward side, so we'll try and make the most of that afternoon sun with the shadows, and we'll get a good altitude too to get a whole perspective of Wilpena Pound.
I'm a little bit nervous before takeoff, but statistically it's more dangerous to drive a car on the streets. And the light is too great anyway. So I take my camera with the telephoto lens because I'm going to sit in the front, and I would have the propeller or the wings in the photo if I use my wide-angle lens. It's crazy to be up in the air. It looks even more interesting from up here than it did from below. You see all those nice dry riverbeds that we already saw in the morning from up above, but it's not so easy to take photos here because it's so shaky. I'm at f8 right now, 1/500 of a second, ISO 470 millimeters, and I try to take photos through the window here. That looks pretty cool right now. I'm looking for light and shadow on the ground, and yeah, try to take some good photos. I never did something like that before. When you think about that we're moving pretty fast and are 1 kilometer above in the air, and I just take photos. It's pretty awesome and impressive. So I zoom in right now on 200 millimeters because I don't want to capture everything, but I want to pay close attention to light, shadows and colors, of course all the nice details. And I hope our pilot brings us back to Earth safely, but I trust him. I also have a joystick here in front of me, but I'm not allowed to touch it. Back on the ground, I use my chance and take some more photos of Michael and his plane at sunset before we head back to Adelaide the next day. When I photograph landscapes, I don't just press the shutter button, but I try to make a composition. A mountain alone is boring, but combined with a creek, a house and flowers, it looks interesting. But what can you do with such a moon-like landscape? Isn't it surreal? Look at this landscape. We're on our way back from Flinders Ranges to Adelaide, and we just stopped at this huge white spot. You could almost think that we are back in Norway, but we're really in Australia. It's 35 degrees in the shade, and it looks as if it's snow or ice on the ground. But it's not. It's salt. We are standing on a huge dry salt lake. It spreads about 2 kilometers in this direction and 1 in this direction. And everything is covered in salt. You can taste it right from the ground. Yeah, it really tastes like salt. It's such a cool structure on the ground. It looks very surreal because of the white of the salt and the blue of the sky and all those crystals and structures on the ground. Here, for example, this block. I took a lot of photos of it already. It looks so interesting because of all those structures when you zoom in. But underneath, it's still wet and water is trapped under the lake. So it might be dry on the surface, but underneath, it's all wet. So there's actually water. Such a great location. And I feel a bit like Jack Sparrow in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, when he was lost on that huge salt desert thing and suddenly all those crabs were coming. It's just like that here. There's one difficult thing actually, my shadow. It's so long because of the setting sun right behind me. I can't shoot in that direction. But what I just found on the ground is some nice stick, and many people would think a stick is boring, but you can take a stick as some nice foreground in the picture. Because we have those nice white salt, we have the blue sky, and a stick as some kind of catch in the foreground. As well, I'm looking for correct structures on the ground that I can take as my foreground. Because everything here looks the same. We have the nice blue color in the sky, we have the salt, the white salt, and what I need is some foreground. We traveled 2,000 kilometers northeastwards to Queensland, Brisbane, to visit underwater photographer Steffen Binke, who might give me some tips before I shoot underwater.
Mensch, Steffen, schön, dass es hier. Na, wie geht's? Alles gut?
Danke. Ja, gut. Und dir? Hallo.
Ja, alles läuft. Du weißt ja, ich bin morgen auf dem Weg ins Great Barrier Reef und da wollte ich mir bei dem Unterwasserfotografen in Australien noch mal ein paar Tipps holen, was ich vielleicht so beachten muss auch und beachten sollte, um geile Fotos unter Wasser zu machen.
Gerne.
Cool, dann würde ich sagen, der Pool ist aufgeheizt, hoffe ich.
Ja, sehr warm.
Sehr gut.
20 Grad.
Lass uns hinsetzen und ich habe ja auch was mitgebracht, vielleicht kannst du mir dazu ja auch noch ein paar Tipps geben.
Gerne, selbstverständlich.
Ich bin ja morgen im Great Barrier Reef oder auf dem Weg dahin. Ich habe ja gerade meinen Tauchschein gemacht, das heißt, ich bin jetzt nicht der, sag ich mal, Profitaucher, habe es aber relativ gut unter Kontrolle, auch das Tarieren und so weiter. Will auch nicht ganz so tief gehen. Vielleicht hast du ja den einen oder anderen Tipp für mich.
Also ich denke, wenn man jetzt gerade angefangen hat zum Tauchen und mit der Unterwasserfotografie, sollte man relativ einfach beginnen. Dein generelles Tauchverhalten sollte es so sein, dass du auch keine Fische verschreckst, dass du dich ruhig verhältst, dass du die Kontrolle jederzeit hast, vorausschauend tauchst. Und wenn du das machst, dann automatisch werden die Fische auch zu dir kommen. Wenn du dich zu schnell bewegst, da unten hin und her schießt, schreckst du doch viel auf. Du verbrauchst viel mehr Luft natürlich auch. Und die besten Fotos kriegst du bis zu 10 Meter. Man braucht auch nicht tief gehen. Da nimm dir wirklich Zeit, konzentriere dich aufs Tauchen. Die Fotos kommen automatisch.
Practice, 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 that's what I have to do. So I grab Steffen's camera, which has big flash and weighs about 20 kilo. Until I can handle something like that underwater, I'll need some more diving lessons. But as we all know, the camera doesn't make the photo great, but luck does.
Am Great Barrier Reef hast du bis zu 1500 verschiedene Arten Fisch, die teilweise auch schon vom Aussterben bedroht sind. Die grüne Seeschildkröte, Lady Elliot, ich glaube Mantas, wenn du eine gute Zeit hast.
Das wäre geil.
Da hast du richtig Betrieb und Schildkröten auch auf jeden Fall. Und Korallen ist natürlich auch super zum Anfang, weil da kannst du mit dem Licht spielen, die sind schön flach. Das ist etwas, wo ich auf jeden Fall anfangen würde.
Motivated by my meeting with Steffen, I take another little plane to the first small island in the Great Barrier Reef. For about an hour we fly over the open water until we reach the Australian treasure in the middle of the ocean, Lady Elliot Island. The island is named after the ship of its discoverer in 1806. Although there's an eco-resort for tourists, 1/3 of the island is a bird protection area. Take a look at that epic sunrise right behind me. We are here on Lady Elliot Island, around 80 kilometers from the mainland of Queensland, in the middle of the legendary Great Barrier Reef. And it's not just a peaceful place for birds, which you can see everywhere flying around here. They breed, they come and go as you like. It's also a safe place for the legendary sea turtle. They come here to lay eggs, and you can see them everywhere in the water. But that's still not everything. Manta rays, huge, up to 6 meters, floating over the ground. Sharks and a lot of other sea animals which are endangered everywhere else in the world. When the sun is completely up, you can see the whole beauty. Corals everywhere. And then it's about the time we get into the water here on Lady Elliot Island. When I jumped into the waters of the Great Barrier Reef, I'm overwhelmed by its beauty. I've never seen so many corals and fishes before. I spent the whole next 2 days snorkeling and diving all day long. And of course my camera is always with me. At around 10 meters, I see a huge manta ray. Millions of corals while snorkeling and colorful fishes. Morays over 1 meter long sneaking over the ground. And just like Steffen told me, you don't need to dive. All the pictures that I took are made snorkeling. I even was able to see a black-tip reef shark, about 2 meters long from the distance. Just like the shy eagle rays which crossed my way on the last day. But for me the most beautiful animal underwater is the sea turtle. If you're patient and lucky, you can take great photos of them. They come to the surface to breathe and they move very slowly, kind of floating. Like this turtle that appeared suddenly out of nowhere next to me in the perfect light of the setting sun, and everything could have been so perfect if I had checked my memory card. The idiot I am, I didn't format the memory card for 8 days. 8 days Australia on one memory card. 2 pictures of the sea turtle and it was full. And I just thought, don't go away, stay with me. And with my diving glasses on, with the underwater housing and the broken display of my camera, I started to delete pictures through the viewfinder of my camera. And I couldn't format the whole memory card because there was material on it I didn't save yet, which meant I had to delete single pictures. And everybody who did this before knows how annoying this is. And not to delete the wrong pictures and all of that underwater with the diving glasses on and constantly thinking that the turtle might go away. It was an extreme situation and a typical story that no one at home would believe. But the photo god was with me again, and the turtle didn't seem to mind that I swim next to her and take photos. She swam directly to me and I dived under her so I could take a different angle from below. And we played that kind of game over and over again, and the turtle perfectly posed for me every time I was right below her. With a lot of luck I was able to take these awesome photos, and I will remember this experience for a very long time. Have to get into the water to enjoy the underwater world. You can just take a walk at the beach at low tide. You can see the huge coral reef in front of the island and you can perfectly walk through the knee-deep water. But be careful, these dark spots are alive. These are living corals. And when the water comes back and the water is not that shallow anymore, you could snorkel through it. You might even get to see a turtle, but probably not now at low tide. Just take a rest, enjoy the view, and when you did that and the water comes back, get yourself back into the ocean. You need to leave when it's best, and I travel to my next destination, packed with great experiences and pictures. There are 2 stops left on my route through Queensland: Fraser Island with a wreck on the beach, and Noosa, the surf hotspot at the Sunshine Coast. Two days before the big festival of surfing, the beach is even more packed with surfers than it normally is. Here I meet professional surfer Josh Constable, who, like me, traveled the world a lot, but still likes home best.
I think it's a pretty special place, and surf-wise, it's one of the best point breaks in Australia, if not the world. And when the waves are doing its thing here, it's pretty special. You know, you're sitting in the lineup, you look to your right, and it's all national park on the hill, and then you look to your left, and it's a big open bay called Laguna Bay, and then straight across the channel is a long sandy beach that you can only get to by 4x4. So, you know, there's not many places in the world that you can sit there and just look around and go, wow, this is paradise.
Josh, like me, already has the one picture for Noosa in mind.
Well, it's a surfing mecca, and you're going to get a million surfers pounding you as soon as you get that camera out. So you're going to get some, crazy sunset, and, there's surfers everywhere. So I think you're going to get a crusty surfer, suntan. Yeah. And
like me already, 2 weeks Australia, I'm suntanned.
It's not hard. And but you'll get a surfer for sure, and get creative.
It's just 1 hour till sunset and I meet Portuguese surf legend José Marcos, who came to Australia for the festival. 54 years old, he just recently won many competitions and is a real cool guy. To ease the mood, I start with some simple sitting shots on the beach. But soon it's obvious that a surfer belongs into the water. He's been a surfer for 40 years and I do some portrait shots with him, and I didn't want these standard portraits with anybody, a pretty girl for example, or ripped good-looking surfer, with somebody who has character. And we already did some cool shots and now I want him to surf a bit. The waves are rather flat because it's in the evening and the wind isn't that strong, but he tries anyway and I think it looks pretty cool. I just have to tell him to come a little closer.
Woo! It's all good, I have nothing in the tank. And look in that direction. Perfect. You're the surfing Antonio Banderas, I tell you. There comes a big wave behind you. I go backwards. Well, that's what I like about photographing, you know?
He's over 50 and been surfing for 40 years. Great guy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. What is that? What does it mean?
That means me, you, and the waves.
"190 kilometers north of Brisbane is the biggest sand island in the world. 1,840 square kilometers of sand. That's Fraser Island. Despite that, the vegetation is versatile and unique. Dull, shifting dunes and the oppressive heat of the midday sun, we can observe the game of lights and shadow in the sand. Reflects one part of the island, which was formerly known as Great Sandy Island. It's not a pleasure to stay outside in the midday sun at over 30 degrees with no shade. Luckily a soft wind is blowing, so I can do some longer exposures with dramatic clouds and strong ND filters. The other part of the island is represented through the wide rainforest-like area you have to cross to get from the ferry to the big beach. The big trees make me believe I'm in the middle of the jungle. They tower up impressively while the sun breaks through the leaves. And only a few kilometers away are the waters of Lake Mackenzie. They glow in a radiant, shiny turquoise. Some trees grow inside the water and form interesting motifs with the white sand in combination. Even on the beach, when you think you could take a nap, you can't, because this isn't just any beach. This is a highway. You're allowed to go up to 80 kilometers per hour, and you can see them driving over here. But you have to pay attention. If you're too fast, the police might stop you, even if it doesn't look like. There are speed cameras too. The only way to drive here is a four-wheel drive, and that's exactly what we're going to do now. We're going to visit Peter Mayer, a well-known landscape photographer on Fraser Island, and he's going to show us his favorite spot, an old shipwreck on the beach. Let's go! With 80 kilometers an hour, we take the beach highway northwards to the Maheno shipwreck, one of the sightseeing hotspots of the island, which you shouldn't underestimate because of its location. I want to shoot at sunset to capture the perfect light. A plan that will turn out to be very risky. Peter's already waiting at the beach and tells me about the story of the wreck.
Hi Peter.
Hey.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
Hier ist der Maheno Schiffswrack, ne? Und Es ist eine sehr berühmte Icon von Freisinseln. Ne? Vor einem Sonnenuntergang oder wenn die Sonne hochkommt, ne? Ist ein perfekter Platz, ein Bild zu machen für einen Fotograf so wie du.
In 1935, the former luxury liner SS Mahino went aground on the east coast of the island during an, for that time of the year, unusual cyclone. The Mahino was supposed to be scrapped in Japan and was pulled by a smaller ship because of that. They removed the propellers and steering, which is why it couldn't navigate during the storm. That way it went aground here. Once stuck in the sand, everything sinks deeper and deeper into the beach over the time because of the tide. The colorful clouds, the perfect light and the reflection in the water, it's a once-in-a-lifetime situation for me, and I photograph like a maniac the shipwreck from each possible angle. The light gets even better after sunset as usual, and I don't even notice the rising water. When the water gets half the way up my legs, Peter reminds me that it's very dangerous to drive at the beach in the dark. Because of that, I take 1 or 2 more pictures and we make our way 1 hour on the beach highway back. What I didn't consider was the sea, which covers almost the whole highway on high tide. We could only see a few meters ahead in the car and we could barely distinguish between beach and waves. What I learned in Australia is that I overcome my limits for a photo that I have in mind. You have to do things no one else does to get pictures no one else has. Whether underwater in the ocean, in the air in the Outback, or in complete darkness on the beach of Fraser Island. These moments make me feel alive, and when I look at the pictures, I remember all the stories behind them. The stories on the hunt for the one photo. This was #Jaworskyj around the world in Australia, and what a huge country! I swam with sea turtles, I shot the Milky Way in the Outback, and I saw animals which live nowhere else in the world. But my journey still continues on the hunt for the one photo. This was #Jaworskyj around the world in Australia, and I hope you enjoyed this episode about photography. You are maybe a bit inspired to go out now and just enjoy the whole photography, landscape, travel, adventure thing as much as I enjoy it every time I do it and I watch the video. So I watched it over, I think, 100 times now, and I still like to watch it. Whenever you think it's not so lip sync in the video, that's because this episode was actually filmed in German. For my German YouTube channel, my German photography YouTube channel, we filmed 3 episodes in the last year in Norway, in South Africa and in Australia. And I said to myself, it's so sad that the people we actually filmed with and a lot of people in the world can't understand this video. So I said to myself, it's a whole lot of work because we had to write everything down in German, then translate it and then speak everything in again. But it's worth the work, that's what I think, and just let's do it, just do it. And that's what we actually did. So if you enjoyed this episode, hit the thumbs up button, write a comment which scene you liked the most, or maybe to some places you have been already in Australia when you ever visited Australia. And when this video, and that's a promise from my side, when this video, and a challenge as well, when this video hits 5,000 thumbs up, I will do the whole Norway, Lofoten Islands episodes in English as well. With Northern Lights, all the nice stuff in English language. When we hit the 5,000 thumbs up. So share this video with somebody who is photographing as well, who likes to travel maybe, or who just enjoys a nice video. And whoever thinks it's a big TV production and what is it? It's actually not. It's just a production I did myself with Rico, my assistant and cameraman. Right now behind the camera we were just 2 people in Australia for 2 weeks. Big thank you to Tourism Australia. Big thank you to Katrin, to David, to Toby, and it's actually just our own
thing. So we did it all by ourselves, and actually I cut it, the whole video, myself as well. It costs me like 1 week of cutting with all the nice music. The music is actually from Audio Network, and when you enjoy the main theme and all the nice music, just go in the description of the video. There I write some titles and the main titles down, and then you can listen to this music on Audio Network as well. So I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Hit the thumbs up and yeah, subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of videos about photography coming in the next weeks. And if you hit the 5,000 thumbs up, there will be a whole episode in Norway. We already filmed in German. Maybe someday, maybe we do a whole episode in English. That's a whole lot of work, I think, but it's worth it.